Hey, welcome to Keight's Crafts. I'm Keight. Today I would like to share with you how I made two similar cards with two different types of ink blending brushes. Let's get started. Here I'm using Ranger's mini ink blending tool. It kind of looks like a little chess piece that you hold on to with a foam bottom that attaches with Velcro. I didn't mind the blending of it, but I found that I really had to work at it, and it was kind of awkward to hold into the hand. I'm using Villainous Potion, Chip Sapphire, and Black Soot here, and later I'll come back in with a little bit of Faded Jean. These are okay. I guess it's something that I have to work at myself because I'm still new to blending, but I don't think that these were particularly my favorite tool to work with. The brushes that I'm using here are just a cheapy makeup brush that I found in the makeup section at the dollar store. I wanted to try my hand at these ones, and I feel that I have a little bit better control over my blending with these. Maybe it's something that I need to get used to with the other one, but as far as like building up my layers, I find that I'm a little more confident with these ones so long as my inks are juicy enough to blend with. I know my Chip Sapphire needs a bit of a re-inker. That's just how it was bought, I guess, and I was none the wiser to it when I first started here. And I also noticed that with this blending of the black soot, I'm having a bit of a struggling time doing this, and in hindsight, it's probably just the fact that I need a larger brush to work with, I guess. I since have ordered a better set of blending brushes that are coming in the mail, I believe, this week as I record this. So perhaps maybe I'll revisit this issue and do another video on it to my comparison. So on the left-hand side, I have the Ranger mini ink blenders, and on the right, I have the makeup blending brushes. Here I'm just doing a little bit of splatter with Daniel Smith's extra fine watercolor Hero Arts Dream palette. I received this little dot card in a Hero Arts monthly kit last month, I think it was. Anyway, once I've got all the splatter down, I'm going to do the largest lawn fawn outside in stitched rectangle die to cut a panel out for both my cards. I always find that when I'm taking the panels out of the outside in stitched rectangle dies that I have to be careful not to rip the panel itself, so I gently kind of push around the edges to pop it out of the die and try really hard not to rip it. So because I didn't get all of the panel in, I'm going in with a little more black soot with my makeup brush around the edges here to kind of darken them up. This is where a larger brush probably really would have come in handy for me with building up my layers. So I'm just going to grab the scrap piece of paper so I don't have to clean up a huge mess on my make art station. And I'm going to go over those corners a bit with that black soot. Again, I've got larger makeup brushes coming in the mail that I'm really curious to try out, as I'm still all new to this stuff. So here I've got the Lawn Fawn Starry Skies, die that I've cut out a bunch of times along the panel, and now I'm just poking out the stars to kind of create my night sky. And here I have some Blvd Popsicle and Panda paper that I've cut with the rectangle stitch die, and I'm using the Hillside stitch die from Lawn Fawn to create a little hill. And to darken up the edge and give it a little interest, I'm going in with some Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide ink, just to kind of make it look like it's nighttime and the ground is not so bright. I thought I'd add this in a little bit just to kind of break up the brightness to the darkness. And here I have some sentiments from Simply Summer Sentiments by Lawn Fawn. The stamps themselves are a little bit large for the area that I want to go in, and I'm trying really hard not to cut them apart. I don't know, I feel guilty cutting my stamps up and feel like I'm destroying them, so here I'm trying very hard not to and just kind of letting it hang over the edge. I don't find that it had any impact on stamping itself, but the next one I go into I end up cutting apart, and I still kind of feel guilty for it. But this one just says thanks for sticking with me. I didn't really know what to put on these cards, but these are actually just remakes. Sometimes I'll get an idea in my head and I'll make them, and then I'll remake them and end up with like 2 or 4 cards or something like that. And this is where I ended up doing a little bit of stamp surgery. I ended up having to cut apart some of the sentiment because I didn't want all of it, and I wanted to take out bits and pieces of it. So again, I kind of felt guilty for doing this because I like to have all my stamps all intact, but I don't like to fuss too much with trying to get it right and having it overlap from the Misty. So I'm just going to stamp that up again with some Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink, which is a Copic friendly ink, but I'm not really going to do any Copic coloring here because it's just the grass area. It's not going to be my focal point. So once I've got that stamped out, I am going to do a little Copic coloring here. I've gone ahead and stamped out some skunks who are hugging. And I'm just going to go in with a 4 blend, which you don't really have to. I just really like these skunks, and I try to add in a lot of shading to them because it's such a larger area for me to work on when I'm dealing with these little stamped critters and whatnot. But the frame of mind that I was in was I had a couple of friends in mind when I was making these cards whom I haven't seen in a long time, and I kind of thought, well, wouldn't it be neat to send them some paper hugs in the mail just to let them know that I still do think about them often. You know, sometimes it's just really nice to receive a greeting card in the mail instead of a stinking bill and, you know, all that stuff that you have to do to be an adult and live an adult life. You know, sometimes it's just really, really nice to get a card in the mail that says, hey, I'm thinking about you. So yeah, I think that's what my frame of mind was when I was making these, all the people that I think about and whom I'd like to hug. So here I'm just kind of lightening up the C7 and the C5 with, you know, more of the C3 as my extra mid-tone here. And again, you don't have to do all this blend. I just really, really, really enjoy coloring. I could probably color forever. But yeah, what do you like about coloring? Do you do Copic coloring? Do you do pencil crayons? Do you do magic markers? Let me know in the comments below what kind of coloring you enjoy. Or do you not enjoy coloring? That's okay too. Some people just don't like it. So here I've got the C1 that I'm just kind of going in and blending it all out, and instead of using the C1 to create the shadows on the skunk, I'm going in with this B60 to kind of break it up. It's this pale blue-gray that almost has like a purpley hue to it, which is quite nice. So once I've got that down, I am going in with this brighter pinkish color. It's an E93. Normally I would use an R20, but I recently picked up that color and I rather like it. It's a little more cheerier than the R20, I guess. So here I've got some glue that I'm just going to use to glue down my little stitched hillside here, and create a little base for the skunks to stand on. So once I've got that down, I've got this holographic gold paper that I got from the dollar store. I'm not going to use it all across the background. I'm just going to cut a bit of it just to cover where the stars are, and I didn't really like how bright the bottom of the grass was, so I'm taking whatever I've got left of the Rustic Wilderness on my blending brush and kind of just going over the bottom to darken it a little bit. And I'm just going to test out that gold with this one too. I mean, I could have done the border around it with the gold, but I think I liked it better where the gold didn't show outside. I felt that it took away too much from, you know, the attention of the stars here. So I'm just taking a really fine tip glue bottle and going around, and I'll skip through this because it's kind of boring to watch somebody just lay some glue down on a little bit of paper. So once I got that down, I want to make sure that I'm not getting any glue in the stars on my ink blending. That's another thing I gotta always be vigilant about so I don't wreck my projects. So I've already cut a piece down to size, and I'm just putting down enough to cover those stars. And I'm going to do the same for the other side as well. So here I have some action wobblers that I got from Michael's. They're the mini Krafts springs, I believe that's what they called them. This is one of my first attempts with them. I know I already have another video doing an alien cow abduction where I explain how I use them in them, but this was actually the first card that I did using them and trying to figure out if I wanted to use the bigger ones or the smaller ones. And I felt the smaller ones would do a little bit better because the surface area that I have that will hide the spring itself, so it just makes the skunk look like it's kind of floating above the card. But I thought these things were really cute, and here I'm kind of deciding which side that I want to use and really struggling to take the backings off of them. So I'm not quite sure if I'm using them correctly. I don't know, maybe you've used them before and you know which side goes where, but I took the smaller bit of the spring and put it towards the critter, and then the base of it would be larger. And I'm just gonna set that down right there and play with it a little. So once I've got that down, I'm gonna go around the edges with a black Sharpie marker. You don't have to do this with your cards, but I find that I like that little tiny detail. It just kind of gives it a definite edge to my blending and my card panel. So I'm just going to go around that. I'm not going to be too careful. I just want to get the edge of it because this is the cardstock and I've got a couple of layers going on here. So I just figured it would kind of finish off the edge to the card and make it look nice. So once I've got that down, I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape here to the back side of the card. And I like to do this method where I cut a piece and then just line it up on my foam roll and then cut it and then line it up again. That way I don't have to measure a whole lot out as I need to put them down. So, and I like to use my hand as a little place to stick them as I lay them down. So once I've got all that put down and taken care of, I'm careful not to squish it too hard. I am going to set that aside, and I am going to pull out my Misty and put a little handmade by on the back side of it. I haven't quite decided what kind of stamp to use for this handmade by bit, but I'll get there eventually. Here I'm using the Sending Hugs on the inside of the card from the Better Days stamp set by Fawn. Again, I was thinking of hugging my long-missed friends that I haven't seen in a long time, and I think they know who they are. So if you're watching this, I'm sending you a paper hug through a video on YouTube. Anyway, I digress. So here I'm just going to stamp it out in some Fawn jet black ink and make sure it's got a nice crisp image on the inside. So here I'm going to use the Sending Smiles from the Virtual Friends add-on by Fawn, as well as the From My Heart to Yours from a MFT stamp set that was, I believe, a free gift with purchase. A friend of mine was so graciously wonderful to gift it to me, so thank you for that. Here I'm using a little bit of low-tack tape to hold my card base down, and I'm going to continue fussing with that corner of black soot until I decide to give up, because I just was not having it. And I'm going to line that up on my card base to kind of create a gray border around the edge, and that'll finish off that card. However, I forgot a crucial part. These critters need little white dashes and dots on them. Not that they're not already cute enough, but to add that extra level of cuteness, adding dots and dashes around your critters or your sentiments or your card, depending on the layout, adds an extra level, I find. This is practiced through many card making videos that I've watched, and I don't know, it just adds that much more to the characters with extra little details. Another fun thing I like using is this Wink of Stella glitter pen. Just kind of goes on like a watercolor, and it's got a shimmer to it, and I find it's not as harsh as using like a glitter pen that I have. Like I've got the Sakura Stardust pens that are really nice, but it gives you a different effect with this watercolored pen, I find. So there you have it. Thanks for sticking with me, and you're the coolest. You're the coolest for watching my videos. Thank you. If you've enjoyed today's content or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe to this channel as I post videos weekly. Here's another video that I think you might just like to watch. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.